equations equal? Really don't. No, it's not. We're gonna do it. Alright, so you make the three equations equal. The equation of the parabola equals the equation of the straight line and solve for x there. Right? So we're going to do just the equation of the parabola. The parabola is y equals x plus 5. I don't know. Oh, yeah, sorry. Negative 4 arrows. Y equals negative. So the input Z is an H. Guys, there is Y. I just wrote it. There's we have okay, I get it. Alright, so x or negative 2, so then you sub those two x values into your, so I again subbed it into the straight line equation, y equals 2x. You can see there, but guys, you could have subbed it into the parabola equation as well. You would have gotten the same answers. So the one point was 4, 8, and the other one was negative 2, negative 4, and you have to look at your graph, figure out which one is which. Alright, so A was the one with the negative values, and B was the one with the positive values. A question like this could get you, let me just get my red, could probably be 1 mark there, 1 mark there, 1 mark for factorizing, a mark for the two x values, and then a mark for the two y values. So 5 marks for that one, and they might give an extra mark, or they might take one of these 2 marks for this line. Alright, I don't think that would be a 6 mark question. Probably more like a 5. Is that one? Do the y 2 times 4 and 2 times. That equation. Get your x values and sub them into one of the two equations. I don't want to say yes or no because there are definitely some difficult questions in it, but there are also some very difficult. Nice. Alright, so the next one says that C equals 9. So that's what they said, and they wanted us to find the coordinates of C and D. Right, so they said that this angle is 9, so we know that the y value minus the y value of C must be 9. So again, just like I think this is the last example that we did yesterday, you take the equation of the graph that C is on, which is a straight line, because that is an expression for y, minus the equation of the graph that C is on, which is a parabola, and then that length should be 9. Right, then just multiply the minus 1 into that bracket. I brought the 9 over as well. Simplified, I divided 2 by negative 1. You could have left out this line, maybe, alright? You have to show every single line that I did. You guys see that this was a, what's it called? A perfect square trinomial? Alright, so guys, this is fine if you wrote x minus 1, nothing wrong with that. Okay, I just wrote x minus 1 squared, but you could have also just written x minus 1 equal to 0. You'll get 4 marks for that, no problem. So x is then equal to 1. That means, guys, that is the only place where the straight line is 9 units above the other. Okay, yesterday we got 2 answers because there were 2 places where the one graph was, I think it was 4 units above the other. Okay, in this case, because you're only getting one x value, that means that only happens in one place. No. So then for C, I just have to sub x equals 1 into the straight line equation because C was on the straight line. And for E, I have to sub x equals 1 into the parabola equation because E was on the parabola. Negative 1. Yeah, start with the parabola.
I struggle why they would want as the parameter itself on either side. So within the how we measure other
I think it all has to do with the straight line. So if the straight line was y equals 2x plus 1, then it would be even higher. I think it has to do with the straight line, not necessarily the
but like say you were finding structure like small but the parameter are upwards. Right.
Yeah.
That,
But that is where the parabola is above the straight line. So for that, we would do this equation times that one. Well, it just wouldn't fall into this category. Because here, point C is on the straight line and point C is on the parabola. So we're looking for where the straight line is lying at the bottom of the parabola. But there definitely will be a place where two places, there's one on this side and one on that side, where the parabola is lying in the middle of the straight line. But then you would just do x squared minus 8 minus 2.
so that then is the portion of the graph where the parameter is under the straight line. Then that is great. This
I'm not sure how to
because otherwise they will put us far from
yeah, he's saying if there's like a 10 meter, then they would have to be a 9 on the other side. Yeah. Also, I think only next year we're gonna do questions like that, with the answer that. All right, guys, we'll see. I didn't write the answers down because we hadn't done questions like this before, examples, and I wanted to actually do it step by step with you guys. I wasn't sure if you would have understood the questions to actually be asking that, right? We're saying, where is 2x greater than x squared minus 8? Now, guys, 2x is the equation of the straight line, right? And x squared minus 8 is the equation of the parabola. But what do these equations represent? Which kinds of values? 2x was equal to y, hey? So this is an expression for the y value of, or any y value on the straight line. This is an expression for any y value on the parabola. So when we're looking at y values, we're looking at this axis, right? The y-axis is the, once again, vertical axis, right? So when we are comparing y values, we need to literally look for where is the straight line higher than, above the parabola. That's what this is saying. So where is 2x? Y values of the straight line greater than, no, above y values of the parabola. Okay, so maybe we can just add that there. Where is the straight line above the parabola? Greater than the parabola, to understand that. Right, but just in non-mathematical terms above, that's what I'm going to do, yeah.
solve this question will do like
Yes, we haven't done quadratic inequality, so there is a bit of a catch there. It's not just like an equation.
so you can't make this.
You could. You can, but you can't have both of them. But if you were to factorize this, what could you get? So have we done this one? X squared, it would be this one, right? You would get 4 or negative 2. So if you then say x is greater than 4 or x is greater than negative 2, that doesn't make sense, right? Because if it's greater, yeah. Okay, but I'll show you now on the graph. So for these questions, I'm not sure, did they actually say using the graph? What was the wording? Step 1, 7, 8. So they say read from the graph. All right, guys, can we come? So I'm going to go back out to the graph now. Thank you. And I'll highlight this section. Right, it's like when I start talking, you start talking. What is going on? I'm going to highlight on the graph where the straight line is above the parabola. For this section, which graph is higher up? Straight line or parabola? Parabola, is that what we're looking for? You want to know where the straight line is above the parabola, so it's this section, hey? You agree with that? If you had to compare y values on these graphs, the y values of the straight line will all be greater than the y values of the parabola for this section, right? It's literally higher than the parabola. If you just ignore all of that, you just look at that section. right? The straight line is above the parabola B. So now we have to say what those answers are, guys. So what is that? Did we calculate A and B? Hey, we found that A was the point, just put that in quickly, -2, -4, and B was the point 48.
In the concept one.
48. A is -2, -4.
Well, haven't you?
You must have factorized that. You factorized into it. Okay, so now guys, how am I going to express this section? Between which two values is that? Between which two x values? Between A and B, right? Yes, Josh?
You said, -2, less than that.
Yeah. Do you guys remember when we did inequalities, when you had to write something that was like on that number line, and we had a dot, and we had a dot, and we had to express the line joining those two dots? Do you guys remember that? We did it earlier this year. The same situation here, guys. X has to be between -2 and 4, right? For the straight line to be above the parabola. Okay, so that's what we're going to write. We're going to say that x is between -2 and 4, so we're going to write it like this. -2, and then x, and then 4, like that. Remember, if you read it from the inside out, this is saying x is greater than -2, but at the same time, it is also smaller than 4. Yes. Yeah, that's okay, for the next one, is that fine, guys? Does that kind of make sense? Yes, you can write it like this. X is an element of, because it's not equal, because I didn't put an equal in the equation, right? That's why I'm not including these two values. And then we're going to use the round bracket, -2, and the round bracket. Okay, you're more than welcome to use either of those protections. Okay, next one. They now just basically swapped it around. They said that 2x, which is the straight line, must be smaller than or equal to the parabola. Right? So I just wrote in words here. Where is the straight line now? Because it's smaller than, guys, they're looking for where the straight line is below the parabola, or because they put that line there equal to. That's going to be the other section, right? I'm going to show you quickly on the graph. I'll go back down to that just now. So here, where is the straight line below the parabola? It's for those sections, right? Because if you compare y values, all the y values on every point on the parabola here will be bigger than, or rather, let me do it the other way around. All the y values on the straight line here will be smaller than y values on the parabola. That's what they were asking, right? A straight line smaller than parabola. For this section as well. The parabola is going up, the straight line is staying here, right? All the y values on the straight line and the points will be smaller than y values of the points on the parabola for this section. Now guys, because they said equal, how is that going to change the answer? No? We use square brackets, yes. And contextually, what does that mean in terms of these 2 points? What happens at these 2 points again, A and B? They're equal, right? These are the points of intersection. So guys, we're going to have to include the x values of those 2 points, because the question is asking, where is the straight line smaller than the parabola, but also equal to the parabola, right? And the two graphs are equal at -2 and 4. Okay, so now for this, guys, I'm going to write x would be smaller than -2. Yes, or and equal to, of course, or greater than or equal to 4. Yeah, greater than or equal to 4. Okay, so x smaller than or equal to -2, or x must be greater than or equal to 4. Or again, you can write it in interval notation. You can say x is an element of Now it's going to be negative infinity to -2 with the square bracket. 4 with the square bracket 2. Okay, I did hand out this application of graphs worksheet yesterday. All right, I want you guys to work on that worksheet now. What did you get when you factorized? For your brackets.
It's fine.
So I'm saying you factorized wrong, it was x minus 4. You're looking for factors of 8 and
Oh, no,
the
yeah.
difference between you have negative. Your bracket must be x minus 4. All right, guys, I just quickly want to talk about the first few questions there. I think we did discuss function notation when we did trig graphs, but I'm not sure if we did some few questions like this specifically. So they're saying, here is a graph of the functions f of x, which is x squared minus 4, which is the parabola, right? And g of x, which is x plus 2, which is the straight line. Use the graph to answer the following question. So now, guys, they're wanting f of 1. Now, what is normally in this bracket here? F of x, right? So now if they ask us to find what f of 1 is, that means that x is equal to 1. And what is f of x? What does that represent? Y, right? So basically, they're asking for the y value of this graph, the y value of graph x, which was the parabola, where x is equal to 1. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. F of x is the parabola. So we're looking at the parabola, right? F of 1, that means that they're looking for the y value of the parabola where x is equal to 1. So look at the parabola. Where is x equal to 1 over there? And what is that y value that we have? Negative 3. So f of 1, guys, is going to be equal to negative 3. It is the y value that we're looking for. F of x or g of x or h of x, whatever data they're using with that x next to it, refers to the y value. Okay, G is 2. I'm looking at it that one to as well. G is now which graph? The straight line. So we're looking for the y value of the straight line where x is equal to 2. Straight line is over there. We look for x equals 2. That is the y value. It is 4. Right? What if you didn't have the graphs to look at? Yes. Yes. If you didn't have the graphs, you would take the x value that they've given you and sub that x value into the proper equation, the correct one. So if you're looking for f of 1, you'll take the equation of f of x and make x equal to 1. Right? What is 1 squared? 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Okay, so you can do that if you don't have the graphs. Sometimes also, guys, the graphs are not drawn to scale, so you actually can't read it all of the graph. Okay, they've given it to you in this way so that you can. Yes. Then you sub this x value that they're giving you into the equation of x, and that will give you the y value. Yeah, definitely.
So, for
I'm not going to get involved in your moment. What? Well, that's what I said. Now they drew this one to scale and they gave you the grids. But if they didn't do that,
There's no.
Okay, so let's write the line.
Okay.
X value of X. So you're gonna look at that. So you probably. Oh, wait. What is that? And withdraw.